Welcome back. If the exam asks for the LRAS graph at full employment, what that essentially means is you're just going to draw the graph in its natural state with the short run lines intersecting with the long run line, which again is that frictional and structural unemployment. And your equilibrium point is going to be here, the perfect nexus of supply and demand. Everybody's working that should be working, prices are kind of where they should be. Meaning people want a certain amount and producers want to sell a certain amount, and there isn't too much government regulation. Floors or ceilings are kind of gone, which is not the status quo, FYI. Over here is above full employment. You'll notice that I did not draw an original line. And whenever the exam asks for this, you should assume they're talking about aggregate demand. In this case, probably too much government spending, consumption, investment, something along those lines. Here you can see the short run lines are intersecting to the right of the LRAS graph. This would be a short run inflationary gap or above full employment. Prices are a little higher than they should be. GDP's a little higher. Employment's a little higher. Everybody's happy, and things are pretty cool. Over here we look to, I'm doing a spin move. I'm not an MB Turner. I was a Zoolander reference. We look to below full employment and no government intervention. So we've already shifted demand to the left. That's what this intersection is right here, this equilibrium point. And because input costs are lower, this would be the original equilibrium point. Input costs are down. Producers are like, I have kind of this weird problem where all my input costs are low, so I'm going to overproduce because now it's cheaper to make things. That would cause aggregate supply to shift right, thus lowering costs even further. So no government intervention, no fiscal policy like taxing and spending, no monetary policy from the Fed. The economy would naturally self-correct back to the long-run line at a lower point than it started out at. Demand shifts left, supply shifts right, everybody's happy. Or not, because deflation sucks for producers, for sure. Over here, a negative supply shock, and our final scenario is no government intervention from stagflation. So here's our stagflation point, that point of equilibrium where supply shifted left originally, and effectively because nominal wages are higher, they're higher because inflation happened, and if you have real wages plus more inflation, nominal wages are higher. Consumers will buy more stuff because they have more, so consumption, aggregate demand rises, and that brings us to a new equilibrium point at a super inflated level. So when the government doesn't get involved in fixing the economy, we call this laissez-faire, it results in a much higher or lower price level because indeed the economy will self-correct, but it might not be at a point at which you like it. Hope you guys have a chillax day, and until our paths cross again. Bye-bye.